Hello everybody. I am back. I think the last time I uploaded was at an irrelevant time, so we're never ever gonna talk about that again. I might even delete the video to be fair. Anyway, a lot has happened in my life since. But one of the most significant things that happened kind of as of recently or between then and now is I was admitted into A&E. So I thought it'd be fun if I read out the very detailed account I have of my A&E experience. It is 5 pages long. I didn't remember writing this much. But yeah, so I scared my friends to death and I was dying myself. And while I was, dying from pain, I was thinking to myself, I will never ever get hospital work experience.
Hospital work experience.
I better use it as much as I potentially can. So I wrote I wrote everything. I literally wrote everything down. So today I'm going to be doing a dramatic reading of said. Like, it's actually depressing. I am so sad. I was writing away on my notes app, but you got I don't like I'm going to be and the fact that I'm like talking about my medical history online is a bit worrying, but oh well, like this is for science. This is for because I'm a STEM student. If I didn't do this, then it's not really on my now, is it? I'm having extreme doubts now. I really regret talking about this, but it's okay. It's fine. Only my friends are gonna say it, and maybe people on the strangers on the internet. But oh well. PSA. This is gonna go into like a bit TMI, so if you're not comfortable with medical terminology or just vomiting, urinating, pain, extreme pain, please don't watch this video. I don't want you to be like really upset. During my dramatic reading, I'm gonna like give my little ad libs of, oh yeah, by the way. So without further and I'm like really shit at English, so if I like pause and I'm like, what have I written? It's because like I don't edit. Like, I don't speak English. So we're gonna start now. I am so sorry for future viewers. I am so sorry. On Saturday, the 3rd of September, I was experiencing extreme sharp pains in my abdomen, specifically the lower left quadrant, more specifically the left lumbar region and the left iliac region. It started around 10:30 in the morning and became unbearable in episodes. Whether it was after urinating or walking to the kitchen from the living room, I could not walk, sit, or lay in any comfortable position. Like, the kitchen to the living room were like 20 steps. I literally couldn't do anything. The only position I felt okay in was when I was sat at a 90-degree angle. My parents concluded I had a UTI even though I experienced no burning while urinating. The other possible diagnosis my father said was food poisoning of some sort, but I disagreed because the pain was so specific and it would not have made sense for the pain to be in one small area. By 10 p.m. of the same day, I pushed myself and walked into the kitchen to get a drink of water. After walking 14 steps, at most, I had the most extreme onset of pain and was going lightheaded from pain. We considered calling the ambulance, but I calmed down after an hour. I vomited and urinated from immense pain at the same time, and genuinely felt humiliated and cried from not being able to control my body. I wanted to go to A&E for pain relief as I could not stand it anymore. My father said that we would go early in the morning since it was Saturday night and A&E waiting times would be heightened around this time. I left the house around 4:30 in the morning and got to A&E. The receptionist said there was an hour wait for a nurse but an 8-hour wait for doctors. My mother and I waited while I vomited a good few times before the nurse saw me. In the waiting room, there was a drunk man who... Oh, yeah. So it's really funny that I talk about, like, work experience. I speak of work experience because I kid you not, I see so many different things. And I read, like, God literally, as much as he hated me that day, I saw so much and I appreciated so much. So, where is it? I've already lost where I am. The waiting room, there was a drunk man who was brought by emergency services on a wheelchair and had been complaining of pain for quite some time. He got up and chased the cleaning staff into the staff-only area and kept shouting at them about spending £3 at the vending machine. He laid down in the hallway and told staff to leave him alone, but they called security, and to my surprise they were gentle with him, even though he was being extremely difficult and unreasonable. Impressive control of their emotions and professionalism to maintain the report and not to break it. This was me like high on pain and adrenaline and like vomiting every few hours. I think I vomited 8 times before the nurse saw me. Yeah. By 5:30 a.m., she took my blood pressure, blood sugar, and temperature. By she, I meant the nurse. She gave me a wristband of my information. I actually still have that. And said another nurse will give me pain relief intravenously. By 9 o'clock in the morning, another nurse took my blood and inserted a cannula I said it perfectly the other time. Oh my god. By 9 a.m., another nurse took my blood and inserted a cannula intravenously. Other types are intramuscular, intracranial, and intraarterial. FYI, I was asking my mom all these questions while I was dying. Like, literally in agonizing pain. Like, literally sobbing my eyes out. I was like, Mama, what does intravenously mean? And she was like, Amal, what is wrong with you? Anyway, the nurse kept her composure while I was sobbing with pain. It impressed me because she continued her task without faltering. She let me sob and answered all my questions and concerns without being emotionally invested. It's clearly a skill that takes time to develop. She gave me a small measuring cup and a little test tube and told me to collect urine for a sample. She put me on a paracetamol drip and I was wheelchair bound. While waiting for a doctor in a room, I overheard 2 doctors talking about a case they were on. All was going well until they mentioned her name. Confidentiality broken! I was in shock. What the UCAT had taught us was not being practiced. Again, so tired. At this point, I didn't sleep for 24 hours. Because of the pain I was in. And I was whispering to my mom, like, really angry, Mama, they broke confidentiality. She's like, Amma, it's fine. And I'm like, no, they didn't. I'm right here. Oh my god. And like I have so many exclamation points in it, like oh my god. But like while I was crying, also like my mind, I hate my mind so much. Like while I was like literally crying my eyes out in front of this nurse and I had my arm out and she was like working away at my veins, literally crying, sobbing, screaming from the amount of pain I was in. And she didn't falter. And I was just thinking, you are good. Oh my god. You didn't react at all. You showed, well, not, I mean, I'm not gonna say you didn't show empathy because she did, but she was, I was really amazed. The doctor took my history again and felt my tummy as I laid down. He then put me on a saline drip. He said he didn't want to give me any morphine as it would mask the pain I was feeling, and there would be no way of knowing if it was getting worse or not. He spoke to my mom in Urdu, which was really cool. Instead, he gave me the suppository, which the nurse inserted. Well, yeah, I remember that. That was so okay. I was feeling a little humiliated, but this helped me understand how the elderly might feel in instances such as needing assistance when using the washroom or putting them on a wheelchair. Their independence is gone, and they solely rely on those around them to do what we deem as simple tasks, thus in return feeling helpless. At this point, he believed I had kidney stones, but my father insisted I was too young for them. But yeah, literally, when I was like at home from like 10 o'clock until 4:30 in the morning, my mom and I were talking about potential diagnoses that we could think of. So I originally thought I was having an burst ovary or some sort of ovarian cyst, or even kidney stones, because the pain just felt so specific. And my mom was like, it can't be, you have a UTI, you have a UTI. So then when the urology department was like, or the doctor was like, kidney stones, I was like, I didn't want to be correct. My mom lost all color in her face. Funniest thing. He then referred me to the urology department. Urology department booked a CT scan and were thinking of giving me the suppository again, but I declined and asked for morphine. The paramedic came over and took her time filling a syringe with morphine diluted with water. Then she took one of the cannula. So I don't know what they're actually called. I'm not really sure what the name was, and I couldn't find it anywhere online. I might include a picture. So if you're like, like if you're wary of medical equipment and you don't like looking at it, I'm gonna show the picture in 3, 2, 1. Here's the picture, and I'm gonna remove it in 3, 2, 1. So if you don't like looking at medical equipment, you can come back. I know some people just don't like hospitals and the talk of hospitals. Like when I went to A&E, my best friend Eva, I'm so sorry, I scared the girl to death. I love you. You were always here for me. But she was abroad, so it was double hard for us because I was dying in England. She was probably sleeping and didn't know I was dying, so she then took one of the cannula bits and only pushed slash injected 2 milliliters of the drug, like literally, and it was diluted a shit ton with water. And all of a sudden, it hit my stomach like a ton of bricks. My abdomen muscles fully relaxed and the pain mostly subsided. It felt as if gravity had suddenly increased tenfold and my muscles were being pulled towards the earth's core. My mother informed me that this was because the morphine is a muscle relaxant and so numbed my nerves, so I stopped feeling pain. But after I laid down, the pain got worse again, so the paramedic gave me 2 milliliters more of morphine, extremely diluted, and it hit me again. It was kind of addictive! Exclamation point. I laughed from the sudden realization of morphine. My head went super lightheaded and my eyes lidded. I began laughing at simple things. The paramedic then wheeled me to the CT scan place, and my mother said I was making childish noises, enjoying myself, making whoosh and wee noises along the way. My dignity died that day. When I talk about the morphine hitting you, dude, when people say it relaxes you, you can feel your organs dropping. Like if like what's the word, like if you like cramp, like I forgot the word, damn it. If you like tense your core muscles and like you keep your muscles tense and all of a sudden they stop being tense and your organs drop. It was the most surreal feeling. It was so cool. Anyway, yeah. But also when I was like the room I was in before I was wheeled to CT scanning, there was like animals painted over the walls. And I remember distinctively being so close to saying, "Bye bye, a rabbit from Alice in Wonderland," but I was like, I'm not gonna embarrass myself. I'm not. But I clearly did anyway. I don't have any I don't remember any of it. I don't remember saying wee or whoosh, and my mom was like, the paramedic was laughing, and I was like, wonderful, wonderful. So we reached, the doctor there gave me a quick run through and told me to sign a document. Okay, so this is where I had a little bit of issues. So I was gonna have a CT, but I didn't know what I was signing. I was under the influence of drugs. My mom wasn't with me. I was just alone. I was like high on morphine, wasn't understanding anything. And they were like, "Here, read this and sign it." And I was just like, huh? Like thinking back on it, I was like, And I had a bunch of jewelry on beforehand, right? So my mom was like, "Okay, take off your rings, take off your earrings, take off your necklaces, take everything off." And I was wearing clothes with metal on it. I had my abaya with metal buttons. And I was like, do I take it off? And I have glasses, right? Like I'm so blind without my glasses. And my mom took my glasses, so I was looking at the thing that I had to sign like really close up, and I couldn't read any of it. So I was like, oh well, whatever, and signed it. But like, it just made me think, like, I'm not gonna sue the NHS or anything over it. I'm just a bit worried, like, I was very concerned about that. I told my mom again, so I had a problem with the break of confidentiality, and then the scanner, but whatever. She told me to lay down in the machine with my hands up. The machine lifted me and inserted me into the ring a few times, and this machine spun really quickly and instructed me to breathe and when to hold my breath. See, again, I'm blind and I couldn't see when it said breathe and when it said hold my breath, so I'm just praying something worked. Like, I saw green and red and I was like, good luck to me. But like, I was terrified. I thought I was going to be crushed by the CT scanner because I was delusional. But later on, my mother said it was good. I was given morphine because I was at least able to lay down on the bed for the scanner without extreme pain. As I got up, the doctor smiled at me and congratulated me for my first time in a CT scanner, and soothed me by rubbing my arm and smiling. By 2 p.m., the paramedic wheeled me back, but the room I was originally in was taken by someone else. Just shows you how busy it really is. So instead, I was wheeled over to an empty space where my mom and I waited. Now, this is where it gets really funny. I witnessed police and doctors working together on the case of a patient who had ingested an unknown substance and was refusing to work with the police. What are the chances? That's what I'm saying. It's work experience. I saw so much. The way police and hospital staff treated the suspect with respect is admirable. Actually, scratch that. The police were rude to him, and he snapped back by saying, "Don't swear at me, I haven't sworn at you." The policewoman had said, "Let's not fuck about, shall we?" which in turn led to that response. He seemed to be under the influence of drugs, but as harshly as the police officers treated him, the medical staff smiled and tried to communicate with him the best they could by promising food after obtaining his blood. The urology department had come to inform me that we don't have kidney stones. Urine samples came back clear, but the doctor mentioned something called diverticular disease. They told us all this information in Urdu and said the senior surgery team will see me soon. My father had been calling departments and said the CT scan found inflammation around the colon as well as fluid around the ovary. This discovery made us think that I might have had a burst ovary or ovarian cyst. However, I was too young for this kind of a diagnosis. But again, I told my mom, I knew it. See, I knew it. But I didn't want to be correct. So again, the color in my mom's face just drained even more. A nurse came along and gave me more fluids and an antibiotics course. I was not sure why I was placed on antibiotics, but from my own personal deduction at the time, I gathered I was either on a course for inflammation of the colon or for the fluid around my ovary. As we were waiting for the surgical team, a nurse had said that I was being admitted into hospital, but my mother was shocked and asked her again to check, since we had not heard from anyone that I was being admitted. The nurse who inserted the cannula into my arm saw us waiting and had a quick chat with us. She said she was hoping to get work off by 3 p.m. but decided to stay because of how understaffed the hospital was. She got my mom a sandwich and some tea. My mom asked her to check if I was being admitted since we got no word of it. We asked the same of the paramedic who gave me morphine, and she came back shortly confirming that I had been admitted into hospital, and the senior surgery team will see me in the morning. I was placed into the gynecology ward, which in my mom's head confirmed that I had an ovarian cyst or a burst ovary. Why else would they have placed me in this ward? I had a little bit to eat around 6 p.m. and thank God it stayed down. It was the first meal of the day and I did not throw up. Around 8 p.m., my mom had to leave as visiting hours were between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. She left as she got me a few clothes and toiletries and my phone charger and laptop. The nurses did a ward check around 9 p.m., I believe, and I had asked for some pain relief. The nurse who was attending me said something along the lines of how I had not been prescribed any, but will get me a prescription soon. And to be honest, I was so exhausted I don't remember what she said or meant. I fell asleep shortly around 9:30 p.m., not long after the nurses came back to wake me up and inserted a paracetamol drip. Nurse Leary kept checking up on me. She was insanely, oh yeah, I remember her. She was I felt like crying because she was so sweet. She was insanely accommodating and would always remind me that I can call the nurses if I needed anything. She called me sweetie, which made me feel really taken care of. After a while, I went to go pee with the IV stand in hand. Oh my god, horrendous. It's so hard and it's really painful walking with that thing. It was pretty difficult moving it with one hand, and the little wheels on the stand were pretty useless. I had to either carry it or drag it along with me. When walking back, the nurse saw me struggling and clutching my stomach in pain. She took away the fluids, paracetamol drip, and IV stand, but I still had the cannula inserted. Then she gave me some oral medicine in a syringe. I was too tired to ask what it was or took it anyway. I then called Claudia for a bit, and it was nice to have someone to talk to, even though she used me for relationship advice. Oh my god. Oh, just to go shows how much of a nice friend I am. Even in death, I'm helping someone out. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, an on-call surgeon came to visit me. I called my mother and it turned out the doctor knew my father. So he reported me to him using my phone after he checked me, and said I was doing better because I've been able to walk more. I originally assumed my father had asked him to check up on me, but my mother said that he had come to check up on me to do a handover to the next doctor, and by complete chance it was one of my father's friends. After they were done talking about my health and potential diagnosis, the doctor began making plans with my father. At the time, I was very annoyed and very tired, and even the nurse was a little confused. but oh well. So, okay. My mom instructed me to, if anyone comes to check on me in the middle of the night, to call her and to have her in the background because I'm so exhausted. I'm not understanding anything. I don't have capacity, right, basically. So when the doctor came, he was like, let's go to a different room because I was in a gynecology room and I was surrounded by a bunch of pregnant women. and we didn't want to disturb anyone at 1 o'clock in the morning, so we went over to a different room, and I was able to walk. Oh my god. Anyway, so I'm calling my mom, and I'm like, I want to call my mom before you check my stomach or do anything like that. And he was like, okay, cool. So, and then my my dad wakes up and he's like, wait, is that like XYZ? And I'm like, I don't know. Then I'm like, and like, this man's a scary doctor. And I'm like, are you XYZ? My dad's asking. And he's like, yes, who's asking? And I'm like, my dad. Like, thank God they knew each other. Thank God, thank God, thank God. And then like literally as soon as he was like, yeah, she's fine, he started making plans with my man. Oh my god. And I was so mad. I was like, I'm literally dying, and my dad does not care. But like, it just goes to show how busy these people are, and how it's kind of funny like how desensitized they are to it. Like if it was any other patient, it'd be considered so rude, but clearly because my dad's a surgeon as well, and he knows him, he's like, yeah, cool, let's go out on the 16th of September. And I'm just like, I am right here. Okay. Afterwards, I went back to bed and slept until 7:30 a.m. A nurse woke me to check my blood pressure and temperature using a device that was inserted into my ear. Yeah, that was really weird. Around 8 o'clock in the morning, I was awoken for more checks and told I could make my way to the breakfast area. I went around 8:30 a.m. and a doctor toasted my bread for me as I was struggling with one arm. So basically, since the cannula was in the other arm, it's really difficult to bend your arm because it's so painful, and you have to have your arm laid out flat because you have a wire going all the way up, and it's pretty painful. Anyway, I fell asleep again and was woken up by the surgical team around 10 o'clock in the morning who were going to tell me about my results. I tried to call my mother, but she did not have any signal, so I asked the daughter to slow down because I'm having trouble understanding. She asked why, and I said it's because I felt lightheaded from the pain. She offered the suppository, and I politely declined. She said bloods, urine, and even CT came back fine. She said that the only worrying thing was I was very constipated. So, she said, I'm actually going to say it because why not? She prescribed me laxatives to help me clear my colon. She felt my tummy too, and it was soft again, which was a good sign. She said if she feels as the most likely cause for this was probably a viral infection. But I asked her how it could be just a viral infection as the pain was so specific. Surely I would have pain all over my stomach. And she said, you can't really tell why. There could be a multitude of reasons, like maybe you did feel pain all over, but it was mainly in that area. Then I asked about the previous diagnosis I was given, and she explained that people have different medical opinions. Urology believed I had diverticular disease, but after speaking to radiology, they said it was pretty unlikely for someone in my age group to have it. Plus, I wasn't extremely obese, but I am constipated. She said there are points in my colon wall that have sacs/divots present, but it's not much of an issue if I fix my eating and drinking habits. I also asked about the fluid above my ovary, and she said not to worry as it's normal for people with periods. Even though fluid around the ovary is linked to ovarian cancer and ovarian cysts and just a lot of ovary stuff, I saw an article ages ago that it says that it could potentially also be linked to endometriosis. But what I want to say now is I've begun having ovulation pain, so 12 days before menstruation, I get severe pain, and it's nothing like cramps. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it, but being a woman is a scam, and I wish more research was done into menstruation and periods and egg cycles and all that, because women cannot be suffering. Like, I have too many friends that are suffering the same way I am, and even worse. So found that great. I was impressed by her choice of words, even though it's a small change and most people wouldn't pick up on it. But instead of using women, she said people with periods, which I wasn't expecting, but it was nice to see people being more inclusive. She also said she was happy for me to go home after discharge papers had been finished. After a short while, a nurse came in and was asking to give up my bed as there had been a shortage, since I was doing relatively okay. Would I have minded waiting in the discharge lounge? And I said of course, and got up straight away to pack my stuff. After all, I learned this later from my mom. I was a general surgery patient placed in a gynecology ward due to a lack of beds. So the original diagnosis that my mom and I ran through our heads of the reason why I was admitted being due to a burst ovary or an ovarian cyst was completely inaccurate, purely because we assumed that since I was being placed into gynecology, it would have to do something with my ovaries. But no, it was because of lack of beds. There were a lot of general surgery people there too. So being a future doctor, inshallah, one day, everyone keep me in your du'as, please. Anyway, I understood that someone needed a place to stay, and since I was fine enough I should get up and move on. I was waiting for the discharge nurse to come over, and she wheeled me to the lounge where I waited for my discharge papers to be completed and for my cannula to be removed. It started bleeding and ached after the nurse removed it. It was so cool. These both have exclamation points. Discharge team asked me who was collecting me, and I said a friend, and to be honest, I was expecting them to take her name and number, but my mother later explained that they didn't have to because I was an adult. In brackets, duh. But I told them my mom would pick up my meds because they asked for her details. Okay, like for everything that I've like read out, I kind of edited it before making this video, but like this last paragraph, like I have crying emojis and everything. Like, okay. Claudia was bless Claudia. Oh my god, like my mom was busy. She was with my brother doing some school thing, and like she had to be there and no one could pick me up. So thank God for Claudia. Like she literally came right after work. Like I'm not gonna include the photo of us, but it was the funniest thing. She said it was hilarious seeing me being rolled down. I felt like an old woman. It was I don't know how to explain it. Claudia was waiting for me and Claudia was waiting for me, and I was waiting for the discharge team to come back after wheeling out another patient. Just goes to show how severely understaffed they are. Mother said my father kept calling each department up to try get tests set up faster because that's what takes the longest to do, not obtaining results. My mother said that he was also preventing me from going into surgery because if general surgery team cannot find anything wrong, they just use that as an excuse to open me up, which increases infection risk by tenfold. Eventually, I was wheeled out to the main entrance to Claudia and physically relaxed in her car so much. Crying emoji, crying emoji. I'm so glad she was there, man. Like, literally word for word. I'd be stuck in a hospital for longer. Crying emoji. Got home and washed myself. Crying emoji. Alhamdulillah for water. Crying emoji. Oh my god, yeah. Again, this is more of like an English thing, but using toilet paper. I need my water. I need my lota. Anyway, so this is when I'm home, right? This is what I'm writing when I'm home. I've also been experiencing withdrawal symptoms. I've been hallucinating while trying to sleep. Very cool. As of nowadays, my legs are pretty weak and are giving up on me, so I fall to the ground. I get dizzy pretty quickly. I'm also super bloated and don't feel hungry, even though I haven't eaten much. I feel like a beluga whale, a pregnant woman, and a balloon full of kinetic sand. It took a few days to kick in! Exclamation point. I'm shitting out water, basically. And that is that. I remember, like, when I came home and I was sleeping, I went to bed pretty early because I was exhausted. And I fell asleep around 5 o'clock, I think. And I remember hearing voices. I'm not even joking. I remember hearing voices, and you know, like I saw a bunch of different colors. So it was kind of like a kaleidoscope, but then it was from blue to green, then yellow, orange. But I was seeing people's faces, and I couldn't recognize these. Like they were like multiple people's faces, and they were all morphing into different faces and morphing into each other. And then eventually, I forgot. Damn it! There was like a thing that they said. At the end, I think it was like something like "wake up" or "you're alone" or something like that, and it literally terrified me. So I woke up, and I was craving sweet potatoes so badly, and I can only eat 3 to 4 at a time. I don't know why. That's a different story. I ate some, and then I went back to bed, and then I had the weirdest dream involving my brother. Like at that time, I didn't get my laxatives yet, so I was waiting for my mom to go get them. And I had a dream where my mom and I went to go get the laxatives with my youngest brother, but we went to a purple store instead, and it was like covered in velvet, and it was really pretty. Like there was curtains and cushions, and it was just really pretty. And then I get a text from my brother, my middle brother, and it's on WhatsApp, and like he just keeps messaging and messaging and messaging and messaging. And he says that he's on the toilet and his ass is about to explode. And then like he attaches an image. And I'm like to my mom, we need to go back home. That all's not okay. And in my dream, I open my phone up and I see the image, and it's like the first image is him taking a selfie on the toilet, and then the second image is like someone took a photo of him on the toilet. But like, there's no sink, there's nothing else. It's just, you know, like the scene in Kaneki Ken when he's being tortured. But what made it 10 times funnier was he sent me a screenshot of a tweet that he said. He put out. My brother doesn't use Twitter, right? Like, he doesn't tweet things. And what said on the tweet was like a really long description of how like he's shitting out his org. Best dream I've had. But yeah. Anyway, so that's my 5-page long essay about my hospital visit. I'm sorry. I might include more photos of me just dying. They're gonna be like, I'm gonna put them here and here. Maybe. It was really horrendous, to be fair. I might include the video of me as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a fun time laughing at my pain. I did. It was the funniest thing. 10 out of 10. The only thing I regret is not calling for an ambulance. I really, really want to. Astaghfirullah. Like, God forbid. God forbid. But it'd be so cool. It'd be so, so cool. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. Like, this is a roller coaster. And God forbid this happening to anyone else, because it was a horrendous, but it was a really fun experience. Like, horrendous for everyone else. I was having fun. Was I? Like, when I got my morphine, I was like, this is good. This is good. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time, whatever next time may be. Stay safe, hydrated, and happy, everyone. Good night.